Okay, so now that I've got the image inserted, I can continue drawing, particularly the roof elements. And I know most of you have done a good job actually with that. So I'll just maybe very quickly set out though an outline so I can show you how to project this at 90 degrees. So I'm going to make a layer called A Roof Timber. And that might do for now actually, so I'll just make that layer, make it current, and set a line weight. I'm not too worried about the line weight here, so I'll just make it 0.25. And I'll draw a line by projecting a point on this line here, and so I'll just remind you about the object snap options that you have. And nearest is one that is actually really useful, but it can be a bit dangerous if you leave that on all the time. So I'll turn it on now. So this is again one of those object snap options. Hopefully you're used to bring that one up. That arrow next to the button that you use to turn it on and off. And then now you can see I can snap to any point on that line, basically by eye. So it's not going to be precise, but we don't need it to be precise because again this is an existing thing that we're not going to change. So now coming up and to the right, and you can see that it's telling me an angle, and it says it's 127 degrees. Now you've been given an angle up here as well, and well, you'll see in a moment that those are basically the same. But for now, I'm happy to just draw that by eye. So you can see there again, the angle's 127. Now you might think that they're different angles, but I'll finish it and then just show you that they are basically the same. So using the AutoCAD calculator, if I type in 180 minus 36, oh, that's not the way it's been measured. Let's just go to it from there. And just to demonstrate, the angles are the same. So measuring down from this line, I might just select this one and then use mirror to flip it across. You don't need to draw this in the same way. I'm just putting it in so that you can see the measurement. So that line now, if I measure it, and I'll just actually use a dimension for that. And you can see it's rounded off to the nearest degree, but it basically is the same. So even though it said 127 degrees, it effectively is the same angle. It was just measured from a different line. But again, if you trace it by eye, that is absolutely fine. And then I'll finish that off just by offsetting. I might measure that joist, that rafter, sorry, so it's about 300. So I'll just offset now 300 from that line. So basically I've got a few lines that establish my roof, and I'll use fillet just to join those together, because what I really want to show you isn't how to finish off and trace off the section. You can probably all work that out. I'm going to show you now how to get the same levels, particularly, on another section. So I'm going to use that option I showed you last week in the top right corner to rotate the drawing. And so I always get these mixed up. Those arrows are back to front to me. So here I'm going to use the top left arrow, or the one that's rotating anti-clockwise. And then I'll just draw a few lines as we did before to project off my section vertically. So I've got ortho on, so I can just draw straight lines going up from the wall there. And again, just to save time, I'll copy that line across. And now, okay, so this is Another thing I want to show you, because I've got nearest on, you can see if I go along that line, it's trying to snap to points all along that line because of the nearest option. So that's why it's not a good idea usually to leave nearest on all the time. And I'll go back and turn that off. You can turn it on and off on the fly as you're drawing. And now it's going to be much easier to snap to these reference lines that I'm projecting. Okay, so I've got the lines for my walls and then the line for my floor. Will come next, but what I want to do now is get the line from my floor to line up with the line for the floor that I've drawn in my other section. So this is the real trick. I'm going to draw, maybe just on layer 0, a new line with ortho turned off and polar turned on instead. So polar there has the option to set the angles to, let's say 15, which gives me increments that will add up to 45. So if I go from the corner of the building and then come up and snap. So again, thinking about the way the angles are measured, I want a 45-degree line, but going up and to the left, which means it'll be 135 degrees. Okay, so I'm just going to take it up a fair distance. You can always extend it, but it's good to bring it right out. So I've got my 45-degree line, and now this is where magic happens. If you draw lines projecting from this section that then intersect with that diagonal line, then you can come across to the new section and they line up. So I'll just continue that to draw a few more so it's clearer. I'll draw another line now from the bottom of my floor, again up to that diagonal line, and then across. So now maybe I'll go to my timber layer. So this is a technique you can use when you are doing hand drawing as well. Okay, so then for my roof, again I can draw a line projecting, maybe we'll just go straight to the top of the roof, and we'll actually just need to fill up those quickly. And maybe I'll just get another one for the bottom of the roof. So you can see there now in my new section I've established all of those heights, and I can start trimming. Cut that back. Okay, so can you see how that method? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's basically just about thinking about how you can project from one drawing to another to establish things that you've already established. We've already established those heights in the previous section, and so we can pick them up. So that method works, drawing the 45-degree line. I'll show you another good little trick. It doesn't hurt sometimes just to copy it. So I can copy that section. Right, AutoCAD is brilliant for things like this. Copy it, rotate it, and then line it up. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a few more steps, but sometimes it's going to be clearer when you've got the section to the side. and you know it lines up, and then you can project. If you've got more detailed things to project, sometimes it's a bit tedious drawing everything to this 45-degree line. So there's nothing wrong with projecting across this way. It's just that if you change this other section, you'd need to copy it again and rotate it again. But those methods definitely work. Some people will go a bit further and use what are called XREFs to link one file to another. I think that just creates too much work. For a simple project like this, you shouldn't need XREFs at all, really. But we'll have a look at those things later anyway. For now, though, anyway, just to make sure that that concept is clear, that you can project. Once you've drawn the first section and the floor plan, you should be able to project to get most of your measurements from that point on. So maybe just to finish off, because we're going to be short on time, I'll just show you very quickly the layout that I've got here with the title block. So make sure you know where that title block file is. To save time, you can of course use that title block. I don't mind if you want to make your own, and you can just draw in text and lines to make a title block on a sheet, but what you'll need to know is how to make a layout to do your prints. So if you're not sure about that, maybe spend some time during the week. I'll be here until Wednesday, and you can always try to find me if you get stuck. But also on my YouTube channel, I've got half a dozen videos that go through how to make layouts and set up your sheets for printing. So I should also give you some pointers on that. Oh, not that much detail, no. So just label the new things that are part of your design. So all I expect is, say, if you've got new timber frame walls or new partitions, just label those as timber frame or stud, timber stud walls with plasterboard lining, or if they're wet areas, timber frame walls with fibre cement lining with tiles over or something like that, or fibre cement and tiles, however you want to label it. Just very simple generic labels to give an idea of the construction. And then in your section, you might label the floor construction as well, whether it's timber frame or concrete. But yeah, very simple. The details are going to have, you know, all the more detailed information with you later. Yeah, no, look, I know in the brief it does mention dimensions, and that's why I did spend a bit of time on it earlier when we were doing the geometry exercise with like 2 dimensions. And here it does say in plan length, width and section height. But honestly, because you've been maybe not given as much time in the computer rooms as you would have normally, and also because in the brief, even though it's listed in that general set of guidelines, it's not in the assessment criteria. So if you don't have dimensions, that's okay, but make sure you do have some notes. In the drawings, okay, that's fine. Yeah. And look, honestly, by doing notes, you've demonstrated that you can work with annotation at scale. So that actually demonstrates that you could do dimensions, potentially. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so let's finish up.